Good morning. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about the idea of less is more and quantity over quality. I think millennials over time are definitely prioritizing the idea of quantity or quality over quantity, like buying fewer things but buying better things made to last, that kind of thing. And increasingly things that are manufactured, at least, overseas in China, the kind of things that Americans used to like in drove, we still do. It's still our drug. Cheap imported goods are still our drug, that's for sure. But I'm definitely noticing that our generation is trying to make the turn towards quality, sustainability. That's been a big one for the environment and all that. But what we're facing is a world of planned obsolescence. When you buy a phone, you're only expecting that phone to be good for what, 4 years, 5 years? And for something that's going to cost you upwards of $1,000, $1,500, you should expect it to last a lot longer than that. But they are I feel like manufacturers, especially large ones, are setting us up for the expectation that we'll end up buying something new in just a few years. And that hasn't been the norm for very long, honestly. I think we're being conditioned a little bit. But honestly, I think millennials are fighting back against that. And we're trying to focus on buying fewer things, but better things that actually have a purpose in our lives. I'll give you an example. When in my 20s, I would spend more frivolously, but not to an extreme amount, but I would buy things whenever I seemed to need something or I seemed to want something. As I got older, I just kind of focused more on everything in my life has to have a purpose. And if I'm not using it, I might as well purge it. And I think that served me well in terms of saving money and investing in that kind of thing, because I've worked on not being quite as impulsive with each of my purchases. I really have gotten into the routine of saying to myself, well, am I going to use this more than once? And if the answer is no, it's definitely a hard no. I'm not buying it. But that's where it starts. But you can still buy something thinking you're going to use it, and it'll collect dust for 2 years. So what I think we're seeing a shift to is people want to declutter their lives because they realize having too many things is stressing them out, at least at a subconscious level. I've mentioned Goodbye Things a number of times on this channel, the book by Fumio Sasaki. And in that book, he takes the idea of the amount of possessions you have stressing you out. Everything in your life that becomes clutter ultimately is adding to your stress level. That book tackles that idea, as well as comparison being the thief of joy, which is another thing I think millennials need to focus on and not fall into that consumerist trap, is keeping up with the Joneses and that kind of thing. But that book definitely enlightened me to the idea of having too many things and having too many things in your personal sphere, in your space, does add to your stress level, even if you think it doesn't. And only once you purge those things by throwing them away, donating, that kind of thing, you realize how they were stressing you out. Having fewer things and having basically a place for everything and a purpose for everything will reduce your stress level. And I found that to be the case in my life as well. What are the things that you found that you've purchased over the years that have stood the test of time, remained having a purpose in your life, things that you were glad you bought? And what are some examples of things that are cluttering up your life and you're glad that you got rid of them? This has been Millennial Diligence. My name's Tom. Thanks so much for tuning in.